Welcome to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast, a space where we break free from tradition, creating a wedding day totally authentic to you and your love story. I'm Abby, UK wedding planner and owner of Elegance Unlimited, here to help you plan a wedding day that feels uniquely yours. Join me for planning tips and advice, endless inspiration, and a pocket full of calm within the chaos that is wedding planning. Consider me a trusted friend, here to walk you through it all. From injecting fun splashes of personality into your day, to reinventing tradition completely, all whilst focused on building a day bespoke to your dreams and desires. I cannot wait to get started, so let's get planning. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast with me, Abby Lynch. I am a wedding planner in the UK, here to provide you with all of the wedding tips, all of the wedding advice for the 52nd time. If you are brand new here, you may not know that this is our 52nd episode. Your Wedding Unlimited podcast is 1 year old. Almost. The dates are kind of, we're almost at that year point. And the dog has come to say hello. If you're watching the video, I have got the dog literally on top of me today because I'm in his spot. This is where I record the podcast, but it's his spot. So thank you so much for joining. I am so excited for today's episode. I did not know what I wanted to do for the episode to mark the kind of year point. I didn't know if we'd get this far in the podcast. I didn't know how long it would go for. Believe me when I say we are just getting started. We are nowhere near the end of the podcast. I have got so many more ideas up my sleeve, so many more things that I want to do. And I'm just so excited to keep recording episodes for you and to keep bringing you all of the wedding tips and advice. So for this week's episode 52, we are doing a Q&A. I have been asking you guys on TikTok, on Instagram, to send me over your questions and things you want to know, things you want advice on, things you just might want to ask me. And I've got a little selection today we are going to work our way through. If you like this kind of episode, believe me, we will do it again. We haven't done a Q&A yet, not a proper one. So I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be good. And I think we're just going to get straight on into it, shall we? I'm in my comfies today. We're just chilling on the sofa. It is like Christmas break time, right? When I'm recording this, it's like a couple of days away from Christmas. I am getting this one done so that I can switch off and fully enjoy the Christmas break. So yeah, enjoy. If you are not yet subscribed, this would be a fantastic time to do so. The podcast has turned 1 year old. We have got fantastic things to come. We release new episodes every single Wednesday. I release new episodes every single Wednesday. So if you're not yet subscribed, if you're not yet following, then please make sure you do, because it means you get brought back here every single Wednesday for a new episode. And if you watch, then you get to see Enzo every single week, my little Dalmatian puppy. He doesn't look like a puppy. You are almost 9 months old now. He's a big boy. And if you've followed along with the podcast for a while, you will know that we got him in, end of April, May. And it's been a whirlwind of trying to keep this podcast going whilst we've had a new puppy. Has been brutal, but we've made it and I'm so grateful. I'm genuinely so excited to have got this far in the podcast and to have had so many of you following along and listening along the way. So you're going to have to excuse a little bit of the soppiness today. I am excited. I love my job. And yeah, we are going to get some good wedding advice and tips out though. So if you're not yet following and subscribed, do that now. Give us a nice 5-star review. And we are going to get into some of your questions and see what you guys want to know. So I've had a little scout over some of these already, obviously, because I have to have my notes ready when I'm recording a podcast. So my notes are here in front of me. I've got some questions drafted out. We'll see how many we get through, because I do ramble a little bit sometimes because I get excited and I've just got so much I want to share. But we will see how we get on. I've got some down here. So the first question is, people always say to make a day plan with timings for everything, but what do we need to remember with this? Like what timings, who, where, and what? Basically, I need all the help. This one I put first because I get this, I feel this. The timings of the day, I've talked about it a little bit, and it's something I would love to dive into a little bit more in 2026. But the timings of the day can feel overwhelming and can confuse people. You do need timings for the day. You do need a timeline. Let me make that clear from the get-go. If you are planning a wedding and you do not yet have a timeline, a schedule of events, a running order of the day, something to tell you from the very beginning of the time you wake up until the time you are grabbing your shoes from the corner of the room and heading home in the evening. You need to know exactly what is going on, okay? We've talked about this a bit in one of my previous episodes, I believe, talking about schedules and pulling together your kind of day plan. I will link that in the show notes below for you. But in a nutshell, this would be my advice. You need to decide on some key timings for the day. So this might be decided for you if you're having a registrar led ceremony. If you're having the legal ceremony on the day, you may just get given a time and they say it's going to be 12:30 or it's going to be 2 o'clock or it's going to be 1 o'clock. Depending on what times they have available for your registrar ceremony, they may just give you a time and that kind of decides for you. Okay, our ceremony's at this time. We could work everything else around that. Okay. Otherwise, they may say to you that you can choose. Maybe you have some timings to choose from and you're not sure whether to go for an earlier ceremony or a later ceremony. And if you are going for a celebrant-led ceremony and you have the flexibility to choose what time it is on the day, then you get to choose. But I completely understand why this can feel overwhelming for some people. This is one of your main timings for the day, okay? You base everything else around this, and your morning and how much time you have in the morning depends on this. And then the timings afterwards for your drinks reception and your meal kind of depend on this a little bit too as well. So for me personally, I would be starting with the ceremony time and what kind of time of day I would like to be having that ceremony. Likewise, if you've got it in your head that you desperately want to have your meal like starting at the golden hour or something, then maybe you want to base it off that and work backwards. Okay, what we want to be doing essentially is pulling out a couple of timings for the day. So whether it's your ceremony time being at 2 o'clock and your meal is going to be at about 5 o'clock. Okay, we know we've got these two timings that we need to work around for your ceremony. Ceremony's at 2 o'clock, for example. You are going to work backwards to figure out the timings for the morning of your day. So you are going to be thinking, okay, well, I want to be ready 1 hour before my ceremony. Ready, done, dress on, we're done. And that's because I want to have some pictures done before the ceremony starts. If you're having a legal ceremony and you need to have your interviews before you go into that with your registrars, you need to allow some time for that, 15 minutes per person. So give yourself 15 minutes to 30 minutes for that. If you want to do a first look, you need to allow time for that. You can't do a first look until you're ready, right? So it's no good saying, oh yeah, we've got hours and hours to get ready, hair and makeup done, but you don't because you want to fit in all these other things and your ceremony's at 2. If you're having a registrar-led ceremony, they will not budge on that time. They are strict on that time. If you are 5 to 10 minutes late and they have to get somewhere else afterwards, it's going to have this knock-on effect and you might end up losing time on the day or not being able to, if you're really late, not being able to go ahead with having your legal ceremony. So we don't want that. We want to get these timings right. If, again, for example, your ceremony is at 2 p.m. and you want to have a first look with your dad and with your bridesmaids, for example, fine. So we're going to allow 20 minutes for that, for example, and we're going to work backwards and we're going to say, okay, we need to be done with this by this time and this by this time and this by this time. And that means that in order to be ready to do all of these things before the ceremony starts, we need to have finished hair and makeup and have everything on and ready by this time. Say it's 1 p.m., 12 p.m., 12 p.m. We'll say 12 p.m., for example. Okay, so then you need to be saying to your hair and makeup artists, I need to be ready by 12 p.m., not including touch-ups if they want to touch up your lipstick or, flatten a few stray hairs again right before the ceremony. That's kind of not part of the main getting ready, but you need to be saying, okay, I need to be ready to start putting my dress on, to do my first looks, to have a few pictures beforehand. Maybe you're doing a first look with your partner. Maybe you want some couples pictures before the ceremony. So allow time for those things. This then helps you to be able to say, okay, well, I need to be ready by 12 p.m. How long is it going to take us to get myself and 4 bridesmaids ready and do mother of the bride's hair? They're going to tell you, oh, it's going to take this many hours. Okay, so we start at this time. This means hair and makeup needs to start at 8 a.m. latest, 7 a.m. latest. Okay, we're having these conversations. And by working backwards, you kind of can help yourself fill in the gaps. And then okay, perfect, the morning's sorted. We've got our timings ready for that now. Post-ceremony, after the ceremony, this kind of gets a lot easier because you can say, okay, our ceremony is going to be half an hour long. Maybe you're doing an hour-long ceremony. I don't know. For this example, I'm going to say half an hour. So say your ceremony is half an hour long. That means 2 to 2:30, you are having your ceremony. At 2:30, you will typically want to have this in-betweeny drinks reception time, a cocktail hour of sorts. So you will be then moving your guests from one place to the other. Maybe you're off doing some pictures. Maybe you are joining the drinks reception. Maybe there's some entertainment going on, whatever it might be. Okay. You know that typically we'll be doing that for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Typically, I always like to add on a bit of a buffer into the drinks reception, primarily because if you need to take time from other things later on, like maybe you want slightly longer for your meal, but you don't want to eat on later into the evening times because you still want to do your first dance at 7 p.m., say, then you can take 15 minutes from your drinks reception and have an hour and 45 minutes drinks reception instead of 2 hours without kind of noticing too much of a chunk missing. So I like to add a little bit of a buffer into the drinks reception here. And honestly, on the day, if the food and things are kind of running on time or even running slightly early, you can just be like, do you know what? 10 minutes to go until we'd probably start calling people in for the meal. Let's just start calling them in now. 10 minutes, if we're on time and we're early, fantastic. Let's get things moving. So your timeline is really important to have right, and it is really important to have all of this information and all of those details on there. But for me as a coordinator, I can't speak for all coordinators. I do use this as somewhat of a guide on the day. I know what times things absolutely have to happen. And then I also know what times things are like, okay, well, we could push this forwards 15 minutes if we needed to. We could hold this back for 5 minutes if we needed to whilst we're finishing off to seating the guests, that kind of thing. Okay. But essentially, to answer your question, yes, you do need to make a day plan. And I have done an episode on it, fully talking about this in more detail. So go and listen to that if you need some more tips and things on that. The things you need to remember is you're just filling in the gap. So pick your key times of the day. What time is your ceremony? And what time do you typically want to eat? It's typically 2 to 3 hours after your ceremony. Okay. Then you're filling in the gaps. So once you've eaten, going later on to the evening, once you've had your meal for 2 hours, say, and you've done your speeches in that time, then maybe you've got some evening guests arriving and you want to do your first dance. Maybe you want to cut the cake if you're doing it in the evening. Maybe you have some other entertainment going on. Then maybe you can help decide what time your evening food's going to happen, depending on what time your evening guests arrive and all of these things. A lot of it is a domino effect. Okay. And I completely understand how you can feel like you're getting it all wrong when you're like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. And I feel like I'm getting it wrong. If you need help pulling it together, speak to your venue. Your venue may be able to help you with some of those timings and those key kind of touch points on the day. Ask a coordinator. Reach out to me if you need some support with your timeline. I am always happy to have a check over people's timelines. If you say, oh, does this look about right? Or I'm confused on how long we might need for this because of our times like this, send me a message. I'm happy to help. If you need kind of deeper level support and planning and all of those things, I'm also happy to help. So reach out. I'm more than happy to support with that. We can book in a call and see how we can make that work for you. But I get it. And the timeline of the day, this is where you want things to run smoothly, right? You want things to be feeling like everything is going really well. And it will, honestly. I wouldn't overthink it as well, because if you've got a really good team behind you, then everything is going to go smoothly anyway. You just need to understand the dynamics of giving yourself enough time, and buffer time is your best friend. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, buffer time is going to save your life. If you're doing a first look, please don't put down in your timeline, yeah, we'll just put down a couple of minutes for that. We'll put down 5 minutes. Please put 10 at least, okay? Because on the day, you may have to go and find dad that's somewhere else across the other side of the venue, and he's decided to go to the toilet now, or he's lost his socks and then he can't come because, give yourself 10 minutes. Give yourself time once you've done that first look to have a couple of minutes. The pictures are being taken. You're in that moment with your father, with your mother, with your bridesmaids, whatever, enjoying the moment. It's not just like, look at me, great, oh, first look's done, gorgeous, on to the next one. Give yourself a minute to soak it in, and buffer time is your best friend. If you don't need the buffer time, it doesn't matter, because it will get absorbed by other things throughout the day anyway, and you won't even notice. The amount of times on a wedding morning when we are doing first looks and I'm like, the ceremony is starting, we need to shift things along. That's just how it goes. There's nothing I can do. I'm not going to rush you through those moments because I know they're important. But at the same time, we want to make sure we've got enough time to do those things on there. So I hope that helps you to kind of get that flowing a little bit, map things out. Timings can always change, and you can adjust your timeline right up until the last minute. Play around with this timing work for this, and would this make sense, and would this make sense. Genuinely, if you've got more questions about the timeline, please drop them my way. I'm happy to answer any questions about that. I know that timelines can be tricky, so let me know. And I hope that was helpful. Gosh, that was a long first question. I did put that first because I thought I would ramble quite a bit. So I hope that was helpful. Next question. Can you give any tips on combating anxiety coming to the 2-month countdown? I'm worried about it all coming together. Now, I get it. And we did an episode, was it last week's episode, talking about 2026 weddings? And if your wedding is next year, what you should be doing. So if your wedding is in a couple of months' time, we're looking at February 2026, and typically everything should be done by now. Okay, so your suppliers should be booked. You know, there is still time to book any last minute suppliers if you wanted anything extra for like entertainment or something else, like little and extra to add on. But like your big suppliers, your main things, your catering, your bar, your typically your venue, your photographer, all of the staff and entertainment and all of those things should be booked. Okay, because this is your like tying loose ends time. So what I would suggest, leading on quite nicely actually from the last question, is that you spend a little bit of time over Christmas or in January looking over your timeline, making sure that the running of the day is going to go smoothly. And I would be sitting down and I would genuinely be like mapping out your day in your head. And you say, okay, so I wake up at this time and these people are arriving at this time to start hair and makeup in this space. They've said it's going to take about this many hours, so we'll be finished by this time. And then we need to move from here to here, and this is going to happen, and these people start arriving at this time in a different part of the venue. There will be different things going on in different parts of the space. Okay, you've got two of you, a groom and a bride and a bride, a groom and a groom. There's two of you getting married. Okay, so you will both be doing different things. If you are not spending the morning together, you will have different family members maybe coming and dropping things off in the morning or going to set up a couple of things, different suppliers arriving. There's a lot of moving parts. So I would spend some time firstly evaluating where you are at, checking over that timeline and seeing if there are any gaps or things that you need to check in on, you know, speak to your suppliers about and ask questions about and see if things need confirming or finalizing. I would be checking in with all your suppliers in January, absolutely, just to check in and say, hey, my wedding is in a couple of months, as you know, just wanted to check in and confirm those details. Even if you've done it 3 times already, confirm the details. Just wanted to confirm one more time that you were going to arrive at 10 a.m. on the day. Just wanted to confirm one more time that this is a list of things you'll be bringing and that you're supplying for us and that you'll be picking it up at this time the next day. You know, just wanted to confirm that these are the things you're bringing in. They're going in these places. If you need anything on the day, please contact this person. You know, here's your designated person that is not you for your suppliers to contact on the day if they need anything or if they have any questions. Okay, these are your finalizing, tying up loose end moments. Evaluate the whole of your wedding day. Is there anything you still haven't bought yet? Is there anything you need to finish making? Is there anything appointment wise that you still need to book and get sorted? Is there anything like in those last coming weeks that you will need to remember? Write it down so you don't forget. Start pulling yourself together an emergency kit with like all your safety pins and your tissues and your paracetamol and your tampons, whatever you think you might need, okay, for the day. We want to be over prepared, not under prepared. All these little things, these are the tying loose ends, okay? And in terms of the anxiety, it's tough because I get it. But what I want you to remember is that this is what you're doing it for. Okay, we want the wedding to get closer because that's what we're doing it for. And if you are prepared enough and you're organized enough and you've done all the things and you've prepared ahead of time and you've got your schedule and you've got your dress sorted and your outfit sorted, your suit sorted and your suppliers are booked and everything's in place and all those suppliers know exactly what they're doing on the day, then you're good, right? There is only so much you can do in terms of preparation. I said then you want to be over prepared, not under prepared. 100% that is true. But there is a certain point where you just have to let the universe do its work, okay? Because there's only so much we can control. And on the day, there is nothing to say that on the day, you know, something might happen that you could not have possibly prepared for, okay? Someone's missing a shoe, okay? Strap breaks on a dress or something. I had a wedding recently and the poppers on the bride's dress, as we were about to do first looks, one of the poppers broke. So she had these kind of straps that you could detach and attach back on, and one of them broke as she was kind of about to do first looks. Obviously, I stepped in like the superhero I am with a safety pin and fixed it. You could not have told the difference at all. We safety pinned it into place, problem solved. that is such a minor thing. And I know you might be listening right now being like, oh my God, the strap off her dress broke and it was terrible. She was freaking out, okay? She was freaking out, but luckily she had me there to calm the situation down, fix it with a safety pin. There's not much safety pin can't do, and everything was fine. And when she wanted those detachable straps taken off later in the day, it was as simple as undoing the safety pin and the problem was solved. What I'm trying to say is that you don't know what might happen on the day, okay? If you get a blister on your feet from the shoes because you haven't worn them in quite enough, so then it's like, okay, are you bringing plasters? If you want to think through of all of the worst case scenarios and try and prepare for as many of them as you can, that's great. But there is only a certain amount of things that you can control. It could be something where your catering team's coming and they realize they're missing 2 plates, and they're like, oh my gosh, we've got spare plates, but they're not going to match these plates, so now we have to try and solve this problem. Like, it could be anything, okay? And I'm not saying this to try and freak you out. I just want to highlight that there is only so much you can do. You couldn't have anything to do with ensuring that every single plate gets brought or doesn't get broken along the way. Like, things happen, life happens, okay? So what we are going to do is we are going to prepare as much as we possibly can, and then we are going to let it be with whatever will be. I want you to focus on self-care, good night's sleep in the last run up to your wedding day, lots of hydration, lots of healthy movement and sunlight and relaxing. Talk about your fears and your worries with your partner, with your family, with your friends, but don't let it overwhelm you. I really want you to enjoy this process. And these are the last 2 months you're going to be engaged. And then that's it. You're done for life. Okay? So enjoy it. It is such a special time. And your mindset, I cannot stress enough how your mindset going into this process is going to affect everything, okay? So 2 plates break on the day and you have to use different ones. Are you going to notice, or are they just going to be on a table at the back that it's not ideal for the guest, but no one's going to care, okay? Or you're missing a couple of glasses. Fine, we'll take them away from someone that's actually not even, these people don't drink anyway, so we'll take these wine glasses away because they're not going to need them. It's not going to affect the pictures. No one's going to notice. How can we solve this situation? If you've got chair draping and you're missing a few chair drapes for some reason, someone's calculations were off and you don't have enough chair drapes to do every single chair, okay, problem solve on the day. We'll do every other chair instead. No one's going to know that it was supposed to be the other way around apart from you. So your mindset going into that and how you choose to react to things that happen, because things will happen. You could spill a drink on the floor on the day, you could spill water everywhere and your wedding dress is a bit wet with water, okay, last minute. Let's look at the bright side. It's not red wine. Okay. We're going to choose to be like, okay, whatever. Let's get the hairdryer on it quickly. We've got enough time. If we are giving ourselves these buffers in the timelines, okay, coming back to the timeline, we're going to be fine. We're going to have a bit of time to play with and not feel kind of super pressured to the second, to the minute to get everything working correctly on the day. It will be what it will be. You will have a beautiful wedding day if you decide that your wedding day is going to be amazing. That's the end goal, isn't it, right? All of this stuff we're putting together, we want it to be beautiful. We want it to feel great. We want it to look great. We want our guests to have a nice time. But ultimately, the main thing is that you are getting married to the love of your life, and that is all that matters. Okay, we are celebrating love. We are bringing joy and happiness and all of those good things. So take some time for yourself, write your worries down, and then forget about them and just try and enjoy the process. Maybe I need to do another episode on kind of mindset and stuff as well, because I think I did one earlier on in the year. It was really nicely received. It was a good one. A little pep talk from me on how to kind of enjoy the wedding process, because it's pressure and it's stress, and I can understand how it can be really overwhelming. So I hope that helped. Next question. I've been talking for 25 minutes already. I don't know how much of it will stay in. I was like, these are going to be quick fire. It's fine. We'll get through loads. We'll see how we get on. So, what is the appropriate amount of cash to gift to a wedding couple if they've asked for cash? Interesting question. I like this. My first instinct is to say whatever you want. And I think ultimately that's my answer. The appropriate amount of cash to gift to a wedding couple, there isn't an appropriate amount, okay? I think it's whatever you can afford to gift. And also, if you can't afford to, that's also okay. I want to highlight both sides of the story here too, because gifting at weddings traditionally was to gift people things that they would need moving in together for the first time and moving into married life. So they'd be getting the toasters, they'd be getting the kettles and the cutlery and the plates and the gravy boats and the bed sheets and whatever it might be, all of these things, okay? Typically, in the modern day, we've already got those things. A lot of couples live together before getting married, so they don't typically need these things. You may still get the gift registry where people do that. And a lot of the time now, people will say money for the honeymoon would be great. Just cash would be great. And that's fine. Okay. Ultimately, when you're gifting someone something for their wedding, it's whatever's within your means. I don't want anyone to be going above and beyond their means to gift someone something for a wedding. If you were asking me my genuine personal opinion, outside of whatever the etiquette and rules are for weddings, if you were asking me my opinion, I would say that I don't expect a gift from anyone, because I'm already asking people to come to the wedding. Yes, I'm paying for their meal and I'm paying for them to have a nice day, but I am asking them to take time out of their lives to come to our wedding day. Maybe they are buying something new to wear. Maybe they are traveling and having to pay for petrol and accommodation. Maybe they are having to pay for babysitting if they've got children. Maybe they've had to take time off work and use holiday days. Maybe, God, a whole thing of reasons. Maybe you've asked them to be part of the bridal party and they've already put in a lot of money to contribute to being a groomsman or a bridesmaid. I wouldn't expect a gift from any of those people because you've already gifted enough by contributing in those ways. Okay. And my personal opinion is that I wouldn't expect anything. And anything that anybody wanted to give and offered to give would just be like a huge blessing, and I would be so grateful. So it's preference, isn't it? I know there'll be some people listening being like, no, thank you. I still want the gifts. I get it, but that's not why I'm having a wedding, to get the gift. So maybe that's the wrong answer. I don't know. I feel like if somebody said to you, oh, we don't want anything like things for our wedding. We don't want more things to take up space. You know, we don't need anything. We're just asking for money towards our honeymoon. Then I would just be contributing whatever felt comfortable for me. If it's £10, it's £10. If it's £30, it's £30. If it's more than that, amazing. Whatever feels comfortable for you. But please don't feel pressured into giving more than you can afford or more than you want to. If you feel like you've already spent enough on accommodation and travel and childcare, and you actually think we've had to buy new outfits for this because there was a color scheme and a dress code, actually we don't feel like we can contribute anymore, then don't contribute anymore. That's fair enough. Okay, maybe you're still having to pay for drinks on the day as well because it's not like a prepaid bar. Fine, you are contributing a lot of money. Weddings are expensive to go to as a guest, let alone as a member of the wedding party. So I get it. If you don't feel comfortable to, don't. But there's no kind of, oh, they've asked for cash, that means I have to give £50. Okay, some people will say, depending on who you ask, they will say there is an etiquette on you have to give this much money. You don't. Okay, and I've never felt like I have to give people a certain amount of money if I have gifted money for weddings that I've been a guest to, because it's my money. So, I'll gift whatever I feel comfortable with, and it's a gift. So I would say the appropriate amount is whatever you are comfortable with. And anyone that's going to kick off about amounts and what you've given probably isn't asking for the right reasons anyway. But yeah, whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay, next question. Why is all the content and inspiration directed towards brides? Same-sex couple here and not much inspiration. I get this. I do get this completely. I often find myself referring to brides a lot whilst I'm recording the podcast as well. And that's typically because a lot of my listeners are women. A lot of my listeners are people that would consider themselves a bride. And the wedding space in the modern day is very female, bride, feminine heavy, I would say. It's typical that, the women typically tend to do most of the work planning. They are the ones kind of making that headway and taking the lead on things. And it's very much, I feel like it's become a joke, hasn't it, in the wedding space, where it's like, oh, all this work that the bride is doing for their wedding day. And then you've got the groom that's like, yes, dear, whatever. Oh, yeah, I can help. Sure. They've just got to turn up on the day. And that's like the gag of it, right? So funny. I get it. It's not 100% accurate or fair in terms of inspiration for men and same-sex couples. So I completely get that. And although it's not fair, if that's the right use of the word there, I would suggest that you might just need to do a bit of digger deeper digging, crikey, do a bit of deeper digging for your inspiration there, and maybe read between the lines of what inspiration is currently out there. So maybe we are looking something that is directed towards a bride and thinking, how can we tailor this towards us as a same-sex groom couple, perhaps? Okay, how can we make this work for us? What would feel good for us? Okay, and we do talk a lot on this podcast about breaking tradition and doing things your own way, and the same applies here for anyone that is not, maybe it's not just a case of, oh, we don't want to have a sit down meal and we don't want to walk down the aisle together. Maybe you are a same-sex couple that is looking to break more traditions than just what we typically talk about. This space is still for you. Okay, we are talking about how to create a day that feels right for you, create a day that supports you and your values and the things that you want to share and show on your wedding day and celebrate. So I agree with you. I feel like I can't offer much more than support and understanding, and the fact that it's not super tailored towards same-sex couples. I do see more of it happening, and I do try to be a part of that myself where I can and where it feels aligned with the work that I do. I will say that I don't shy away from supporting any type of wedding couple. That's not what we do here. I don't just work with brides or just work with same-sex couples. For me, a wedding day is a wedding day, and it's about celebrating your love, whoever you are and however you want to celebrate it. I can understand that from a wedding couple's perspective, you're like, oh, we want to see more same-sex inspiration. We want to see more inspiration that's tailored to us, that feels like it's there to show us what is possible. And it feels like you've got to do extra work, right, to find the inspiration that's for you, because everything feels like it's tailored towards brides. I completely get it. I will say there are more spaces out there for you, particularly wedding fairs that are LGBTQ kind of friendly and actively working to showcase suppliers that support those kind of things, or that just work with same-sex couples, or, people in that community. There are more wedding fairs that are doing that. There are more Instagram and TikTok pages that are showcasing that specifically. I would suggest going to follow some of those and using that as your main kind of source of inspiration. Instagram and TikTok are huge for inspiration right now if you're looking in the right places. If the algorithm thinks that you're a bride looking for bride things, it's going to show you more of those things. So I would keep searching for the things that you want to see. What kind of things do you want inspiration on? And let the algorithm understand, this is what they want to see and this is what they're looking for. If there is anything specific that you're looking for inspiration with, that you're like, oh, we really want ideas for this and we don't know how to make it work for us as a same-sex couple, feel free to drop me a message. Like I said, my DMs are open to anyone and everyone with questions you may have about weddings. I want to support you and I want to help you. So if there's any way I can and you want to brainstorm some ideas, then please send that my way. But I can't answer why all of the content feels like it's directed towards brides. I feel like I can only do my bit to try and showcase and represent things for everyone out there as much as I can. So definitely noted, definitely taken into account, and perhaps we do some episodes on this specifically in 2026. Watch this space and we'll see what we can do. This one says, I'm always intrigued by the timings of wedding days. Meals are always at such bizarre times. So this kind of links in with the timings and the scheduling again, but specifically the meal time. So your wedding breakfast is typically in the early evening. It's not dinner time, it's not lunchtime, it's that kind of in-betweeny 3, 4, 5 p.m.-ish on a wedding day. Typically, this is because you were breaking the fast. So that's where breakfast comes from. But your wedding breakfast would be the first time you would be eating as a couple since getting married. So your first meal together as a married couple, you would be breaking that fast. So your wedding breakfast is where that kind of typically came from historically. And I guess that's just kind of stuck. Okay, people want to do that ceremony before. Nobody wants to get up and do an 8 a.m. ceremony because you want to have time to get ready and get everyone else ready. And I guess that's just the way the timings work. I will say I've spoken to some other suppliers this year, and in different countries and cultures, the meal tends to be a bit later and the ceremonies later as well. Typically, they might not have a 12 p.m. ceremony like we do here. They might be having a 3, 4, 5 p.m. ceremony and then having a meal at like dinner time. And it would still be called typically a wedding breakfast as well. It comes from the kind of traditions and the history behind it, which I do find very interesting. And when you really start thinking about it, you're like, yeah, that doesn't make sense, right? How weird. But that's typically where that comes from. And I understand why the timings can feel a bit weird. And this is why you then end up needing to have like canapes or something for people to have in that in-betweeny stage in the drinks reception, because people will be starving. Like if you've done a 12:30 ceremony and you've asked your guests to get there for 12, they can't have had lunch before then. They'll have had an early lunch or a really late breakfast. And then you're asking them to wait after not eating properly to then wait for their dinner at like 4 or 5 p.m., it's too long. So you need something in between. And then this is typically, again, why you'll have the evening food come out as well. If you're having people stay late and doing partying and dancing into the evening, people have eaten at 4 p.m., they're going to want something else again later at like 8, 9 p.m., just to keep them going and keep them satiated as well. So yeah, the timings are weird. I get that. But that is typically why the meals are at a bizarre time. This one, I got a comment asking this question on, I think it was on one of my videos, and I'd asked for comments for the Q&A, and I wanted to touch on this one quickly because it says, money, I haven't got any, I'm putting wedding in front of everything and it's just doubled, I'm only starting out planning. So essentially saying that weddings are expensive. Yes, they are. And when you put wedding in front of things, the price gets doubled. This is such a huge conversation point and debate in the wedding industry. And people that aren't in the wedding industry, or people that are getting married and don't understand the wedding industry, will say, weddings are too expensive. I could just tell someone I'm ordering cupcakes instead of a wedding cake, and I could pay £50 instead of £450 because it's atrocious. And, asking people to pay all this money just because it's a wedding is disgusting. I wanted to touch on it purely because I've seen some other suppliers talking about this, and I completely stand with them in the point that people don't understand how much work goes into being a wedding supplier. Okay, you can go and order the cupcakes for your wedding and don't tell them it's a wedding, tell them it's a birthday party, and you can pay whatever. They will be pricing that based on ordering cupcakes as opposed to an intricately designed wedding cake. And if you're ordering a wedding cake as well, you're not just saying, oh, can I have a wedding cake, please? And they'll say, yeah, £300. They are going through a design process with you. There is a back and forth with your inspiration to design things, to then buy the ingredients, to then make them. Like, don't ever think that there's just a one step. I've booked a supplier, that's it and done. Okay. If you're booking a planner like myself, it's not just a case of, I've booked a planner, they're going to help me plan my wedding. I can't believe they're so expensive. Even if people book me as a coordinator, sometimes they can't believe that it costs more than like £100. They're like, well, you just need to come on the day and coordinate the day. No, I don't. There is like weeks and weeks and weeks, 4 to 8 weeks, I usually say, of planning before I come to coordinate and run your wedding day, working through your timeline, speaking to suppliers, back and forth with you to you make sure that you understand everything that I understand and that we're on the same page. The conversations to make sure that any gaps are filled, any loose ends are tied, that your expectations match my expectations, and the day is going to run smoothly. Any planning I need to do, travel then on the day, and then the actual day itself. There is never a time ever when I will just go to a wedding day and be like, right, how are we doing this then? Ever. I would be doing an absolute disservice to anyone. And a lot of the time, I think it comes down to like the expectations with it. If you're ordering a custom wedding dress and saying, oh, well, I don't need a custom wedding dress, it's going to be so much money, I could just order myself a white dress off of ASOS. Crack on then. Absolutely, you can. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but it's a very different service with very different results. Okay. If you're ordering a custom bespoke wedding dress that takes weeks to design and then hand make and hand bead and all of these things, as opposed to something that's made in bulk and sold, wholesale to then sell it at a price on a fast fashion website, is very different. Okay. So I did want to touch on this. It was something I was like, am I going to answer this question in the episode? Because I don't know if I should. Weddings are expensive. That's just the way of it. They are a luxury to have if you want to have a wedding. Okay, anyone can go off and get married. You can elope, you can go to the registry office and you can pay, those kind of minimum fees to get yourself legally married. Anyone can do that. And that's beautiful and perfect if you choose to do that. But if you want a wedding day, which a lot of people do, if you're coming into this space and you want the dress and you want the meal and you want the entertainment and the music, you are asking for more than just people turning up on the day. There is so much work that goes into that. So I just wanted to highlight that. Nobody has ever put wedding in front of something and gone, oh, well, I must charge more money then, ever. I can guarantee you, if you were hiring me to help you plan a birthday party that had the same amount of moving parts as a wedding day, it would cost you the same amount, wedding or not. Okay. Typically, if you were booking me to do a birthday party, If you were booking me for something smaller like a birthday and you've got less guests and you haven't got the ceremony and you haven't got, multiple meals going on throughout the day, you haven't got the speeches to coordinate, you haven't got 100 guests to coordinate and the music to happen at specific times and to make sure all of these things are going perfectly, it's a completely different type of event. Completely different, okay? So please order the cupcakes if you want to and don't tell them it's for a wedding, fine. But if you want the beautifully designed, intricate wedding cake, it's going to cost you wedding prices. And I say wedding prices in quotes because it's just the time and service. We are skilled people in the industry doing things that we have kind of honed our craft on. No one is making millions as a wedding supplier. That's just not how it goes. We're doing it because we love it primarily, and we have to make a living as well. We're running a business. It's the same as anything else. If it's out of your price range, fair enough. If it's the same as you shopping at Zara or shopping at Gucci, okay? If it's out of your price range, you're going for something that's more within your price range. There is a supplier for everybody. You just need to find the ones that are within your budget. And yeah, I'm going to leave that there. But I just wanted to share my 2Ps on that, my 2P. I don't believe that anyone hoiks the price up when you say wedding. I think it just involves a lot more work. I've been talking for a long time, so I've had a few more questions and I won't have time to do them all today. Maybe we can do some on another episode, but I want to end on this one that a lovely supplier sent to me. And they said, what made you fall in love with weddings to begin with? And I just thought this was so lovely because as much as I've just had a little rant there about the wedding industry and the expectations and all the debates going on with it, I love the wedding industry. I love weddings. And honestly, for me, I wasn't even thinking of going into the wedding industry. I was going to do the birthdays and the anniversary parties and events, like general events is what I was going to start off doing my business in. And I thought maybe I'll move into weddings later down the line, once I've got some more experience, or maybe once like it feels right, I could branch out and kind of had this other side to my business. And someone asked me at the time, why not weddings? And I was like, oh gosh, they just feel like too much pressure. It just feels like such a big thing. And this person was like, well, would you put in any less effort for a wedding? Would you would you work any less hard? Would you put in any less work? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, there you go then. And I was like, let me think about it. So I pondered on it for a little bit, did a little bit more research, started looking at all the beautiful weddings. And I just thought, do you know what? I love so much. And there is not a wedding I don't cry at. Yeah, let's do it. And that's kind of how I got into the wedding space. The more I work in weddings, the more I love them. The more couples I get to work with, the more people I see falling further in love throughout the wedding process is just so beautiful to see. And what an honor it is for me to be a small part of their journey and to kind of support them with getting to have their dream day is just amazing. It's one of my favorite parts, completely. When I meet a couple on our consultation call at the very beginning of the process and we have a chat about where they're at and how long they've been engaged and what they like to do and what they're hoping for from their wedding day, to then see that come into fruition throughout the process. And then on the wedding day, when I'm watching them share their vows with each other in front of all of the people they love. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. I love it so much. I cry at every wedding. And just being able to see that and share their story and just share their love, because I feel like love should be celebrated and shared. And there is so much love in the world and not enough of it is shared or talked about enough. And a wedding day is just such a beautiful place to do that. So the love is what made me fall in love with weddings to begin with. And all the extra stuff, making them beautiful, making them run perfectly and smoothly, that just comes as an extra perfect addition to match my type A personality. But I love love. I love love. And there's nothing better than love, like getting all the people you love in a room together to have this special day. No one ever takes time or spends money on themselves like they do with a wedding. And I think that is amazing. You could sit there and argue weddings are too expensive, it's a waste of money, all these things. When else in your life are you going to spend this amount of money on yourself? When else in your life are you going to spend this amount of money on yourself selfishly to do something just for you that is a luxury, that does seem like other people would be like, gosh, I wouldn't spend money on that. It's not their money. What a perfect opportunity to. Yes, you might buy yourself a house. Yes, you might go on nice holidays. but maybe you're taking your kids with you and you want a nice safe place to live and you want your kids to have enough space in their rooms. Maybe you're compromising on some things. Your wedding is the one day that you don't need to do that. If you do have the budget to, and you've got the want to, you can go so extra on your wedding day and do things just for you. The day is about you from start to finish, the story of you and the storytelling we're doing throughout the day, the little details within your styling and the planning and the personal touches that just scream, oh my gosh, this is you. This is you. This is you. This is you. This is our story that we are sharing. That is so beautiful and so special. And you don't get to do that at any other point in your life without seeming a little bit self-indulgent. And there's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But on your wedding day, no one questions it. They're like, oh my gosh, how beautiful. That they are shouting loud and proud about their love story and everything is about them, and they're really just soaking it all in. There is no other day you can do that. And getting to do that with the love of your life, your partner, is beautiful. I love seeing people just take this time for themselves and take up space on their wedding day that they would never normally take up. The amount of couples I work with that are like, oh gosh, I don't want everyone looking at me when we're walking down the aisle. I'm not very good at having pictures taken of me and all these things. And to be able to see them on the wedding day, once they've done it, once they've just had those moments, and to see how happy they are and how much they're loving all of the love and attention they're getting from their loved ones to create these memories is just so special to see. And I hope that I'm articulating myself correctly, because I'm just like lost in a little world of wedding love at the minute. But I hope that this makes sense. That is what made me fall in love with weddings. The couples and the love and telling their stories is just so beautiful. And I'm so, so, so excited for the couples that I'm getting to work with in 2026 and the couples that I will book in 2026 to work with in 2027 or 2026. There's still time. Yeah, I'm just thrilled about it. And yeah, I think we're going to end it there today. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've really, really enjoyed doing it. It was fun for me to speak a little bit more candidly, a little bit more off the cuff, because normally I do have like a full plan, because I know that I want to have the episodes as jam-packed full of information for you as possible. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to be like, oh gosh, I forgot this important point on this tip. So I need to make sure it's noted down, bullet points, so I can then talk about it and expand on it in the episode. I've just had your questions today, and anything else advice-wise has just come from my brain off the cuff. I haven't thought about it too much. So I hope you like this type of episode. If you did, I will definitely do some more in 2026. We could do one halfway through the year and another one at the end again. We could do them every few months, every month, whatever you guys like. Let me know. If I have enough questions, I can keep doing them. We could do little mini segments in the episodes. We could do a little Q&A section every episode. It's up to you. Let me know what you think. And if you've enjoyed it, then please let me know in the comments, in my DMs, in my emails. And thank you for listening. I genuinely want to finish this episode by saying the biggest thank you to every single person that has listened to any amount of episodes, any amount of me throughout this year, any amount of the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. I am so, so grateful. I set myself the target at the start of the podcast when I launched, and I said I'm going to release one episode every single week. And in the back of my mind, I thought, I wonder how long that's going to last, because life gets busy and running a business is hard. And we got a puppy this year. My goodness, I've been so busy. I've been so all over the place trying to make sure that my clients are getting the very best of me. That is my priority always. But I really wanted to continue this podcast and to make sure that I was doing it justice. And I have managed to release an episode every single week for a year. And I am so proud of myself. And I'm so genuinely grateful for everyone that's listened along. Wedding couples that are getting married, suppliers, my family and friends. I feel like I'm giving a speech at the Oscars. Genuinely, anytime someone says to me they're listening, or they send a screenshot of them listening in the car, or they said, oh, I was listening to you yesterday whilst I was cooking dinner, I cannot tell you how much it warms my heart and how happy it makes me. So thank you so, so, so much. Like I said at the start of the episode, if you haven't yet liked and subscribed, this would be a perfect time to do so. It means so much to me, and genuinely the data at the back end, it helps a lot. I can't really explain how, but it's good for my numbers, okay? And I really appreciate it if you could follow and subscribe and give me a 5-star review. Thank you so much. Believe me when I say this is just the beginning, my friends. We are a year old. But we have got lots to come. I am having more guests on in 2026. I am having more episodes, more tips, more of the things you want to listen to, and more of the things that are going to help you have an amazing wedding day. So stay tuned. I will be back next week for an episode. There's no pause, my friends. We are continuing on. We are carrying on. Another episode next week. And I can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for listening. Genuinely, I'm so grateful. And I will speak to you next week. Happy planning. Thank you for listening to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired and excited to create your dream wedding day and those lasting memories. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I'll be back next Wednesday with more tips, advice, and inspiration. In the meantime, don't be a stranger. Come and find me on Instagram and TikTok at Your Wedding Unlimited, where I share even more wedding ideas and behind the scenes insights. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube at Your Wedding Unlimited. And if you're looking for even more support, come and join my private Facebook group, Your Wedding Unlimited. It's an amazing community of fun and authentic engaged couples, packed with extra tips, advice, and insights to guide you along your journey. If you have any questions or need more info, you can DM me or send me an email at yourweddingunlimitedpodcast@gmail.com. All links and details will be in the show notes. Until next time, happy planning!